I'm Emily Penn, co-founder of eXXpedition. I'm super excited to have you all on board.
eXXpedition was started in 2014 with an all-women, multidisciplinary crew sailing and collecting microplastic samples just south of the North Atlantic Gyre. The organization went on to complete 10 other research voyages before now embarking on a round-the-world mission to enable more women to get involved with the data collection and search for solutions to end our plastics crisis. This is the story of the mission's first leg.
For me, it's an opportunity to take people to sea who don't normally spend their time out there. You guys have definitely got the toughest task though when it comes to that. It's probably the least forgiving leg that we have on the whole eXXpedition around the world. So it's going to be a real challenge, but you know, the biggest challenges are also the moments when we get to kind of show our biggest strengths. So I'm sure you're all up for the challenge.
Prior to each voyage leg, eXXpedition carries out a litter assessment utilizing the Marine Debris Tracker app, which sends data about local litter back to a team of researchers at the University of Georgia in the United States.
And it's going to give them a really good idea, the data we collect today, on a few things. One is the plastic waste. Are there any grocery bags here? No. No. Is there plastic string? Plastic bottles? There was one, wasn't there? The other is our observations. Generally, there is a very strong correlation between number of people or footfall and the amount of litter found in a place, particularly in urban areas. And we're trying to really look at where that leakage is happening within the system. We need to set up our trundle wheel. So this is a measuring wheel. Do you want to measure across me? We'll be doing 3 transects of 100 metres, and as we're going along that 100-metre transect, we'll be recording the different types of litter that we see. Whenever you log an item of litter, it logs its longitude and latitude, so that the team back at the University of Georgia will be able to get a really good understanding of what it's like on the ground here, which then will hopefully feed into what waste management systems might be needed, what support might be needed for particular types of litter.
What? Whoa. What's that? Oh my goodness.
Well done today, team. Big first day. Might be a few more big days to come.
The round the world route is chosen based on the location of the gyres. So the start and finish points for each leg are dictated by the place that we're trying to get to in the middle. And so you wouldn't necessarily choose to sail from Plymouth to Azores, but it's exactly the direction that we need to be heading to get to the centre of the gyre.
So as we get closer, it's actually closing in.
I'm a little bit concerned about this when it winds up.
Yeah, and then you're like, should you be here to then ride the southerlies down?
Exactly that.
Rather than here.
But to get there, we've got to cross through the ridge. Now this is a fast-moving ridge.
I've kind of done a very rough little route on this. So we're here on the blue dot. We've got the Bay of Biscay, Portugal, and then we're going over to the Azores here. It's approximately 1,200 nautical miles in a straight line. I think we're going to be sailing more like 1,400 miles. So it's about 10 days of sailing ahead of us. There's 3 passage plans in one for those sailors. It's trying to find a bit to do science and then stay there as long as possible and then get to the destination on time. It is going to be wet and it's going to be tough, certainly these first few days, especially while you're getting your sea legs about you. It's really, I cannot stress enough how important it is during this whole trip for you guys to look after yourselves and each other.
That's the manta trawl. It's taking a water surface sample so that we can measure how many fragments of plastic there are in this part of the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so Sophie, get ready to ease. Right, see if we can just drop it right down here.
One of the things that's mind-blowing is that you look out on the ocean and it seems pristine, and you put the trawl in and you pick up all of those small things and you realize how all over the plastic actually really is.
Still blows my mind every single time it brings them up.
Yeah, ready?
We found 70 pieces of plastic.
70?
70.
It was shocking because I didn't expect that we can see a lot of fibers, like microfibers, in the middle of Atlantic, like far away from even the gyres or the coastline. So it's really alarming.
The first sample that we pulled up, about 800 miles away from the Azores, actually had nearly 100 fragments of plastic in it, which really shocked me. So the fact that we're already finding that many so far out from the gyre is really interesting, and going to be interesting to also compare it with the historical data that we have of that region.
So we were dropping the manta trawls really randomly. I don't know how else to describe dropping the manta trawl on some point in the middle of Atlantic Ocean. And every time we dropped it, we pulled out some plastic. There is much more to learn, definitely.
I ended up having my blood tested because I wanted to know which of the chemicals that are banned by the United Nations because they're toxic to humans and animals, which of those chemicals that I was finding in the plastic and in the ocean and in the fish, which ones were inside me. And so we chose 35 chemicals, and we found 29 of them inside my body, in my blood. And this was a massive shift for me. I was so shocked by that result. I then obviously started doing research into what impact those 29 chemicals might actually have on my body. Now, some of them are carcinogens that lead to cancer, but most of them are endocrine disruptors, which means they block the important chemical messages, the hormones, that are coming from our brain to tell our organs at different times what they should be doing. And so if you block those hormones, then of course the systems inside your body stop working. And times when hormones are particularly important are through puberty and through pregnancy. I just thought, wow, this is actually quite a female-focused issue. And that was the moment when eXXpedition began. Now we are 5 years on, and we've done 11 of these voyages in different parts of the world, and now obviously, as you know, scaling it up big time.
My mum would be disgusted if she knew like how long I've gone without brushing my teeth, brushing my hair, changing my underwear. She'd be disgusted. So Mum, I do it every day, promise. Without fail.
Show it off and watch.
I will.
You'll get your stormy bit, don't worry.
4 in the morning, cannot wait.
In the end, we all got our fair share of stormy bits, which it turned out was too much for our sails.
It's been a roller coaster.
With not enough fuel to get us to our final destination and no other vessels at sea to provide assistance, it was crucial to find a way to repair the damaged sail.
Yeah, we will need to. I'll stitch this first. So I'm going to be here a while. How are you doing? I'm okay. I think I'll be here a while. Yeah. You're like, yes. Read maybe.
Rita. I don't want to. I have diesel on my hands. I don't want to ruin your chocolate.
Oh my god. Good thing I didn't.
Alright. There's chocolate on the sail. This isn't even a bad day. This is a nice day.
Another day in the office.
Yeah.
Another sail on the table.
It's still 560 miles to go.
560 miles.
Yeah, very.
How many miles have we already gone?
About 600? Woo! 700? Wow.
Why did you decide to come out here?
I can't remember right now why.
Big way! Oh, this was some blue stuff like
Oh yeah, I wanted to be out in the elements with a bunch of amazing women.
That's it?
Yeah. And see what happens. Embrace the unknown. Well, now I know. Feels very far away, that decision.
We're gonna go down in history what?
Down in the eXXpedition history books for having the most weather on the nose for so many days, for so many, at such high strength. Literally, there won't be another expedition like it. So you guys have done so well. I can't believe you have all got through it smiling.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a beautiful morning. I'm happy again.
It's a version of Survivor. It's a lot of energy that just gets spent to be vertical and remain vertical is an activity in itself. So we were told that this was going to be a difficult route. I don't think any of us really knew what that meant, both physically and mentally and emotionally. Finding your own reserves inside for how you are going to make it work in a small, confined space with a group of people you have no relationship with is just trapped. Really builds a sense of self and team all at the same time.
This is AARATHI's second piece of the last orange.
They should be.
That's been really amazing, but at the same time, it's just been really exhausting dealing with the battery of the wind and the waves and the rain. My butt's been cold and wet a lot more than it's ever been before in its life. And my bunk is always wet. It's never really dry, but the days that the sun comes out, we're all very, very, very excited and very, very happy when we see dolphins and rainbows.
I love coming offshore, but this trip has challenged me in ways that I never anticipated. I knew that coming out here the conditions were going to be tough, but they were significantly more difficult than I anticipated. I've also spent a lot of time as a documentary filmmaker and as a sailor, but I've never really put the two together, so this was incredibly challenging.
This group of women are very multidisciplinary, so we realised when tackling this plastics issue that there's no silver bullet solution for solving this plastics issue, but the great news is there are actually hundreds of things that we can be doing from every discipline, from every background, every skill set, you know, whether you're a designer or working in policy or a teacher or a filmmaker, there's a role that we can all play in solving this problem. And so the women on board represent exactly that.
And coming from Indonesia that has big problem on ocean plastic, I want to know more, I want to understand the ocean even more, I want to know how people value the ocean by seeing this kind of problem.
Hello, Kirsty. What brings you out here?
I was kidnapped. I'm here against my will. No, I'm joking. I don't know, I thought I'd be challenged, you know. It'd be nice to inspire other girls to come out and do challenging things. And to see for myself, I don't have a lot of experience in plastics and it's a bit unseen for me, you know, out of sight, out of mind. So it's nice to come here and actually see it for myself.
When we weren't sewing sails, repairing engines, or cooking, the crew could be found cataloging every piece of plastic from the manta trawl sieves.
We've got those 5 different categories: fragment, film, foam, nurdle, and pellet. And we're basically looking in each size of the sieve for those categories. And that way, that data that we're collecting there is going to be comparable with the first global study of the 5 gyres 10 years ago. It's so hard to work out where on earth did that begin. And that's a lot of what this round the world scientific program is trying to get to the bottom of. This completely anonymous plastic, where did it come from? And that's what this FTIR machine, which is the first time we've been able to bring a machine like this on board, because they're now portable enough to do so, allows us to determine the polymer type.
It's trying to get into the layers of the samples to figure out if there is any material that's plastic-like. And then we repeat the same cycle for every little bit of sample that we found in that trawl. So if you can kind of roughly see, there's at least another 20 pieces here that need to be done. So we better crack on.
To further help scientists at the University of Plymouth in England determine where some of this plastic had journeyed from, we separated out some of the pieces into individual vials and froze them for further microbial analysis in the lab. The scientists will then be able to compare the bacteria and fungi DNA on our plastic with DNA found in other parts of the world to help trace where this plastic might have come from.
Breezy and I pulled out a piece of plastic that was embedded in one of the little floating jellyfish. There hasn't been a sample we've pulled up that doesn't have plastics in it, so it is everywhere.
As a documentary filmmaker, I think the hardest thing for me to share with people is just how vast our ocean is. Every single minute, every single hour, it's constantly changing, and how the light is constantly changing the color of the ocean. But I think the most shocking thing out of all of it was that I've spent so much time around the ocean, and I thought perhaps like some of the samples wouldn't have any in it, some would have a lot, but I never expected every single sample to have something in it.
I would say it's definitely plastic.
Single-use plastic is plastic that's designed to be used just once and then thrown away. But really it's a stupid idea, because plastic is a material that lasts forever. So we shouldn't be making it to use things designed to be used just once.
If we reuse every single-use plastic just once, that already cuts the amount of waste in half. So trying to get rid of just this disposable society and going back to quality over quantity, it'll take a little bit of effort, because a lot of things came about just because it was more convenient.
I'll be heading home with like a renewed effort to remove the plastics from our environment, from our daily habits. And I challenge everybody to go into the grocery store and try to buy just one meal, 1 week of meals without buying any plastic.
It's really hard, and I think we really have to work at holding people accountable and holding manufacturers accountable and starting to change our daily habits, asking for things to not be made with plastic.
Okay. What's going on up here, guys?
We see land.
You see land?
See São Miguel.
Yeah.
Hey, there's land inside. We have been waiting for it forever. Relief. Relief inside. I think I need like 2 weeks of solitude to process what just happened.
High five. That's exactly.
Kimberly just asked or said that's so brave of us to be here. The thing is kind of like, it's probably not bravery, it was just probably stupidity.
What has been amazingly positive is the range and diverse group that we have together just on the first leg. Already we're starting to look at solutions and how we can take what we've found back into our communities, back into the countries that we've come from, and to try and change things further upstream.
One needs to change the front end of plastic use in general. So if we can identify what the most prevailing plastic is that we can find in the ocean, then that would be the first part to look into entrepreneurship, innovation, of finding alternative material that would replace like food packaging, for instance, those kinds of things that we use in all of our daily lives.
The ocean, it's one ocean that we all share, and nature, our seas, they don't know political boundaries. Plastic moves seamlessly from one to another, and we all have a shared responsibility to protect it.